of the Securities Exchange Commission in Vietnam in regards to things such as insider trading, price manipulation, and even companies such as the Vina Shin incident that occurred this year as well. I think this is something that is necessary for the market for this year, and hopefully going forward we'll see the lessons learned from some of the experiences that we've had this year from that perspective. And reiterating about what MB Capital is experiencing is that we are starting to see some money from these very low interest rate countries such as Japan start to take minor interest into Vietnam. And I think that is an interesting theme as well for a potential carry trade opportunity into Vietnam.
Okay. And also by the end of the year, people or maybe just investors, they are really looking forward to see what fund managers is deciding to quote their NAV. So I was just curious, how is PXP doing with fund quoting NAV?
We publish our estimated NAVs every day, so if anyone wants to see them, they're on our website. But I think the other factors that have been perhaps have been a drag on the performance is there has been a lot of capital raising by listed companies this year, and also with the requirement for banks to raise minimum chartered capital to $3 trillion by the end of the year, which was removed or postponed a couple of days ago. I mean, we're starting to get a bit of relief that perhaps there's not as much immediate capital raising going on, so that more new money can go into the market.
So as you can see that 2011, 2010 we have seen up and down markets. So which sector do you think that has the surprise growth, that very surprise growth?
I think the sector that's probably had the most unexpected growth in terms of profitability would be rubber producers, because the rubber prices has performed extremely well globally this year. It's up about 45%. There's still a shortage of rubber as China continues to increase in demand. So I think four main rubber producers will come in with extremely good results.
Would you like to add something?
Yes, rubber and commodities in general, rubber, sugars are doing good as well. But one of our main investment team for 2010 and probably also moving forward in 2011 is consumer goods. Because basically, if you look at a country with almost 90 million people, right? So the domestic consumption is on the rise. So that's provide a very good investment thesis for the fund managers like us. So we look at big companies like Vietnamese, Kingdos, even the P&J producing all the jewelry. So basically the top line and bottom line growing over 20 to 30%. So which is a very attractive.
Peter, you've done so much research on these sectors. Do you think which one has the most unexpected growth?
I'm a big proponent of the consumer group as well. Although taking a devil's advocate position on this is that we have seen instances in which, for example, in the early 90s in China and in the early 80s in India, the same demographic themes that were highlighted about like Vietnam today, and it didn't necessarily equate to stock market performance for some of these stocks.
Sure.
And that's just a point of caution that I would take.
There is also a fairly restricted group of listed companies in the consumer goods space.
Correct.
And then Vietnam, which you probably all agree is probably one of the better companies, if not the best company listed in Vietnam. The problem with Vietnam is that foreigners can't buy it.
Right.
Well, then, in contrast, which sector that were most disappointing to you?
That sector, I guess, because
consumer goods.
Yeah, Vietnam hasn't performed, right? Although in terms of its revenues, in terms of its profits growth, it's done phenomenally well. But if you compare it with the Chinese equivalent, which is China Mengwing, that's on 3 times the valuation. that Vietnamese is. So, in order for Vietnamese to be able to reflect its, or for the stock price to be able to reflect the performance of the company, then there needs to be freer access to the shares. And unfortunately, at the moment, it's restricted because of the foreign ownership.